Greetings, welcome back to Black Bear News, where we are discussing climate change, abrupt climate change, and things adjacent. And it still continues to be very hot here. So hot, I'm drinking iced coffee, which is rather unheard of for me personally. But yeah, it's just that hot. And I know that's very industrial civilization of me to be drinking iced coffee, but it's like one of my last addictions that I indulge in, and so I'm going to indulge until the very end in that one, because it doesn't really affect anybody except for maybe my sleep patterns. So yeah, I went out today. I didn't just buy one thermometer today. I bought 3 thermometers. And I'm going to put them around various places in my yard, house, etc., just to kind of get a feel for the variance in temperatures. But the one that I have up already is registering somewhere around 96, 97. My app says 91. So there you go. The variance continues to be just about on par for what I usually see, the app being lower, 5, 6, 7 degrees lower than what any other measurement devices say. And I don't know if that's just a difference in the actual temperature taking, or if that's, some kind of underreporting, if that's intentional, I don't know. But it's suspicious because I hear a lot of people say the same thing all over the place, all over the states, all over the globe. People report an underreporting of temperatures across the board. So it seems to be fairly consistent. So let's get into some breaking news. Mandatory evacuations ordered for entire South Carolina coast. Lane reversals for I-26. The evacuations and lane reversals begin Monday, that's tomorrow, across the entire coastline of South Carolina. South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster has issued mandatory evacuations for people living along the entire coastline of South Carolina, as Hurricane Dorian is expected to affect the state by midweek. There will also be school closings and lane reversals of Interstate 26. This is a very serious hurricane, McMaster said. So yeah, that's, they pretty much are just going to restate all those things over and over about 3 or 4 times in that article, but I'll list it below, link it below if you want to check that out. More on Hurricane Dorian is hitting the Bahamas right now. We are facing a hurricane we have never seen in the Bahamas. It is currently a Category 5 hurricane. As Hurricane Dorian began lashing the Bahamas, Prime Minister Hubert Minnis wrote on Twitter that Sunday was probably the saddest and worst day for me to address the Bahamian people. We are facing a hurricane that we have never seen in the Bahamas. Please pray for us, he wrote. And there's lots of video going around on Twitter, Facebook, etc., of what the storm is doing. They're getting hammered right now. 4,500 members of the National Guard activated in Florida ahead of Dorian. This is from an hour and a half ago. Mandatory evacuations for South Carolina. We just read that. Water is being disconnected in Grand Bahama. Grand Bahama Utility Company began disconnecting water service throughout the island of Grand Bahama 7 p.m. Eastern Time in preparation for Hurricane Dorian, according to a notice from the company. And that was from an hour and a half ago. So this is all current news. Martin County Sheriff, we are within 20 miles of an apocalyptic hurricane. So yeah, everybody's kind of bracing for the next couple days. If you're in the area, good luck and Godspeed. Whatever it is you're planning on doing, hanging out or taking off, I don't know. we're going to move to Japan. Yet another extreme weather event. Japan is just, if anybody has been noticing, it's a little difficult because, again, this is another instance where, sometimes it's hard to get news about what's happening globally, especially if you're doing the Google machine. There seems to be a dearth of reporting on extreme weather events that are outside of the U.S. or, in the case of like here, if I'm trying to find somebody's reporting on an event and sometimes I try to go find it, I can't find it. It seems to be difficult to find some extreme weather events. That being said, so Japan has been hammered over and over and over again over the past few years by serious flooding, rainfall, cyclone events, overheating, high temperatures, heat waves, etc. And yet again, here they go. 900,000 forced to evacuate, deadly flooding in Japan. This is from 2 days ago. Floods and landslides triggered by record-setting rainfall in southern Japan have forced authorities to order more than 900,000 people to leave their homes, and another 1 million were advised to move to safety on Wednesday, according to Reuters. In just 48 hours, Kyushu Island received more than twice its average rainfall for the entire month of August. By Thursday morning, 3 people were dead and 1 was missing on Kyushu Island. While the Japan Meteorological Agency said the torrential rains were finally expected to diminish in the south today, according to the Kyoto News, but heavy rains and lightning would hit large swaths of northern and western Japan. I'm wondering what... I don't really hear a lot about what the Japanese people think about climate change, or how much they attribute all these events to climate change, or how aware they are of climate change, or how connected they are to climate change resistance. You don't seem to hear a lot of remarks from the Japanese people about climate change. It's just kind of, I don't know. If anybody has any insight into that or information on that, I would greatly appreciate it. I don't know. I don't know how they're dealing with climate change on a societal level or on a governmental level or on a media level. Who knows? But they just seem to be getting battered. It seems like every other week something is going on in Japan. They are a lot like India. It's just one extreme weather event after another, after another, after another. And you would think by now they might be, the populace might be up in arms on some level. Hey, what is going on? What's going on? What are we going to do? Who's going to take care of this? Who's going to fix this? Where are we going to go? How are we going to deal with this? How are we going to adapt to this? Etc. Etc. I'm going to link this below. A bunch of people sent this to me, but I could not read the whole thing because you have to subscribe to the Rio Times, just like you have to subscribe to the New York Times or the Los Angeles Times nowadays. And it was kind of difficult for me to, usually I can find a way around these subscription things. There's ways to be able to view the whole article, but I tried and I could not. All the other links around this article just linked to the Rio Times, and so I couldn't read the whole thing. If anybody has the whole article they would like to send me, that would be super great. But I'm just going to read the headline, and maybe that's all we need. Investigations uncover gangs and millionaire profits behind deforestation. This is from September 1, today, 2019. An investigation by the Federal Prosecutor's Office shows that illegal deforestation involves a series of crimes, such as corruption and land grabbing. You don't say. Harvesting trees requires the use of heavy machinery and costs of at least $800. Is it real? The Brazilian money? Brazilian dollars called real, I think. US $200 per hectare to cut, or a hectare is a soccer field. Corruption, criminal conspiracy, slave labor, violence, land grabbing, wood theft. Also, probably include moving indigenous peoples off their lands, terrorizing, harassing indigenous tribes. Yeah, and just straight out stealing land and and doing illegal logging where people cannot keep track of what's going on. And that's it. That's all I can read of this, really. I'll link just this below. You guys can check that out. But of course, there's been lots of news around after all the Amazon wildfire. Stories were making their rounds of Facebook and Twitter and all over the place. There were also a lot of people claiming that a lot of the fires were being set by illegal logging and mining operations, and that was being helped along or encouraged by the Bolsonaro administration. And the Sunrise Movement was also very involved in getting out the word about this. There were I saw a lot of activity on Twitter around the Sunrise Movement, trying to alert people that these fires were not natural or normal. They were being set and being helped along by the capitalist forces. Lastly, I want to cover this video. I'm not going to play any of it, but this is from Seymour Rocks. One or two people sent this to me. Basically, he's just kind of going over the fact that they're not reporting. He thinks that they're not reporting what the actual condition of the Arctic sea ice is, and I think some people would agree that across the board we're not getting we're getting limited or not actual data, or the data is hard to find. Of course, last week there was the Arctic cyclone and you couldn't find it, and everybody reported they could not find it. They couldn't, it was very hard to find any news coverage of the Arctic cyclone, even though there's this big cyclone in the Arctic, which you could obviously see on, Climate Reanalyzer or any of the other satellite data maps or data websites. So basically he's just going through the fact that the Arctic sea ice is most likely much, much lower than is being reported. And basically that all this area is like broken up. So it shouldn't actually be measured as ice extent because it's broken ice. It's not solid. It's not contiguous ice. And he thinks that it's more likely that just this area here is what is left of the ice extent. It's an interesting video, and he goes, over gets some good points and some good data around this. So I'm going to link this below. Again, if anybody has any more insight or information around this, I would love to see it and welcome any links around this. And that's all I have for you in this video. Thank you so much for your eyes, your ears, and your conscience. If you would like to support this channel, you can do so at the links below. Until next time.